the legacy you continue to build?
Ma'am, your first international match for India was when you were just 16. Can you walk us through that moment?
Well, firstly, a very good evening to all of you who's present here this evening. And I must admit that I'm envious of all of you because I've not gone through the college life. But every time I've been invited for events like this, it's just one of those times where I try to be in your shoes and try to enjoy these occasions. Coming to your question, yes, I made my debut very young when I was a 16-year-old, and to be very honest, I don't remember much of scoring 100 on debut because there was so much of expectations on my young shoulders. But it's a game that I have to go back in time in 1999. I don't know, some of you might not have been even born at that time, but it was a day that everybody, at least my parents, my father would have loved because I scored 100 for India, and for me I think it just relieved so much of pressure of scoring or performing on my debut game. But if I have to go back in time, I would say that young girl to enjoy the platform given to her, because all the first is always very special. It doesn't happen time and again.
Mom, I'm Smriti and I have a question.
Where are you?
Mom, in front of you.
Okay, yeah.
Mom, which would be your favorite cricketing ground?
Well, I've scored a lot of runs in England and UK. Taunton, where I've scored the world record of 214 runs in a test match. But like every cricketer, whichever ground where I'm scoring a lot of runs is my favorite ground.
Okay, thank you so much, Mom. Ma'am, which team was your toughest opponent? Australia or England?
Well, for the longest time, Australia has been a pretty tough team to beat. But again, English conditions have always been very tough for the cricketers. But I think, yes, I would go with Australia because they're very competitive.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I think twice I was able to get team to the World Cup final. But I think the first time when we did way back in 2005, under a very different institution. We were not under BCCI, so that team which broke into the finals, we clearly didn't have the resources. There was absolutely no money. And the team going on to play the World Cup final for the first time, an Asian team made it to the World Cup final. I think that really changed our mindset of just not competing, but we are very much capable if given the resources and the facilities to sort of, win against the best sides. So it sort of just like how Rivera is, it's revived the belief in us that we are capable of competing and challenging the best teams in the world.
My question for you is, do you think that there's a lot of technology and analytics that is being used nowadays in cricket? And if yes, then how has that impacted the game?
Well, I think there has been a huge development of having analysis, and clearly technology has helped to better our skills, to read the game better. It has also given access to a lot of people to have their own opinions watching the television. Even a layman can actually dissect a game or probably give his opinion like an expert. But I think at the end of the day, the more information you're bombarded with, it becomes that much challenging to sort of pick what is required to upgrade your skill. So you again need experts to help you out in identifying what you need to pick from that information which is laid out to you. And a lot was spoken about AI as well. But at the end of the day, it is the gut feeling of a person that cannot be aped by technology. It is still, you require the human emotions to guide you or make decisions. Of course, information helps, it gives you a head start. But again, the human side of it, I don't think the technology can replicate.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I just wanted to ask which format would be your favorite, like T20, ODI or Test matches?
Well, I think for most of you, if given an opportunity, all of you would want to play T20 format. But I've played quite less test matches, and T20 came in the later part of my career. So I've played a lot of one-dayers, and I believe that it is pretty much has both the test and the T20 in terms of situations in a one-day format. But I've enjoyed one-days because I've played that a lot. I would have loved to play more of test games.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
If you could give one word about the current Indian women's team, what would it be?
They are soaring.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So, if you have to describe DIT in one word, what would you say?
Well, I think the enthusiasm and the energy, of course, and I can see that in the way you have greeted me, and the energy is pretty much very infectious in an environment like this. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, so many students here are passionate about a career in sports. So what would one advice for them would be for you?
Well, if they're passionate about sports, I wonder what they're doing in a setup like this. But well, I think passion is good. Passion is good, but just having passion doesn't take you anywhere. Everybody dreams, but you need to put in the hard yards. You have to make choices and prioritize where you're heading. So, being in this environment, being engineering students, of course, that's your priority. That's your profession. You can play sports as something as a hobby, and one should, because any physical activities always helps to sort of clear your mind, and people who are passionate about sports should invest some time every day in playing sport. But then clearly I'm not in a setup where I can give you advice how to take forward your passion, because it's definitely a very different field that you all are in. But my advice, one thing that I would like to tell to all people is that whatever your purpose in life is, you chase it with a lot of ferocity, and don't allow anybody else to dictate how do you go about your ambitions and your dreams. It's your ambition, and you have all the right to see and take the path that it requires.